from outside, or you are buying huge quantities of raw materials from outside. So, guess what I'm Spade has failed in the regard that and I can blame Spade, I blame your dealing Spade, which is the government. How do you make an entity a toothless? It can only facilitate, but it cannot even cooperate and become a partner in business. Had they facilitate, it only plays a facilitating role.
But can you appreciate that there are some of the a project or success stories that possibly Spade has brought in the region?
Well, if you take more in the Spade region, le components yes, ka facilitation bana ba khona go allocate to lehads, bana ba khona gore ba set up ko Phikwe. But how lebella bokete ja madi a tsentswe mo Spade, hundreds of millions. O bo lebella ditiro tse gore directly they were created. O bona gore o ka re ga gona return on investment the ends, primarily because, as I say, in the Hilo mandate, they allow a facilitative role. But if you can expand the mandate to include an investment arm of the government, it could be much better.
Right. Hon.Dithapelo wa khanetso ko parlamenteng ya Latsela Botswana, right, Hon.Dithapelo le foko Keorapetse ile mo parlamente wa kgaolo ya Sedibe Phikwe bophirima ke no gore na le ene mo tsatsing la gompieno mo thulaganyo ya Batenegi at Parliament talk show re togare ya motsubong wa thulaganyo mme pele ga re ka dira ka tsela e ntseng jalo mekete ke bale jalo melatsa ya gago ha Joseph Ntshwariseng are leader of opposition himself ke tsa gore wa khola ene re Keorapetse khotsa wa boitumela Emmanuel Pheto gare honorable shed light please, why are we seeing the rollout of launches and manifesto now ko kare e chaile my leader? I think you will note that Keorapetse then deliberate on that. I was spokesperson in Zambrana for democratic change, but I think you shed light on it. Kabo Kitsurile. UDC is the only alternative Phikwe West for Dithapelo. Tsa ba Phikwe jalo ile Kabo Kitsurile. Boys Halibidi, when is UDC intending to field MPs at Serowe constituency since BPF has long left the UDC? Hakizora leone utaya komba rekora pizimi kizora umweledi wa umbrella for democratic change mwe haki aregene bopa pattern. The principles are key for one to be called a genuine politician. You qualify Hon.Dithapelo Keorapetse to be called a genuine politician in bopa pattern. Le gona jaka ke balamela tsa gaga yo mwe ke ha ke nthusang gaboage ya ta intshwarela ke le gore ga ke bitse sefane sa go senterra ya ke motho ke ratang go senya difane tsa batho ka gore sa me ga se ka sengwa ke gale ha le go gale are viva UDC viva ke nthusang ne le tsone dikagalo tsa gago ha go golola gore a ile gore o eletsa go ka letsa ka kwano gona le mogala o ileng gore re ta hitisa ho on our screen o ka re tshwara ka mogala ka kwano re Keorapetse go ka ditsibogala ka boheo
yeah okay re ntse re le mo re biditswe ke bogogi ja party boeteletswe pele ke ena re mohasa o ileng gore ke ene a tshwere marapo ko office ya UDC me atile le bo mantswitswi di bo mankge ba ileng gore bana ba re tsentse dithuto tsa gore re ipakanyetsa yang ipapatso ntse re le go phalape maabanyane ana Saturday Sunday gore go dibela ya nthopho re ke a kopa le ba bangwe ba thalositse ka botswapelo gore maitamo a UDC re tsa mahakae bane ba gona le keletso ya gore re ntse di kakgelo a ke manifesto wa UDC kana no bata di kakgelo di tswa mongwe so ne rena le presentation yo ne le gore re ipakanyetsa yang ipapatso jaanong ko phuthegong yone eo we have been updated ka gone gore e tare mona konyaneng e sa hediseng pelo e be ile gore bogogi botantsa schedule of activities go simolaela ka launch ya manifesto which I think will be on the 14th manifesto unveiling ya di candidates so tele manifesto ke dumela re tana ka di 14 ha ile gore mo ke tabe ke ho se date but mehela it will come soon then we'll roll out the launch across the country so ke dumela gore gongwe ke arabile potso
several constituencies. Somebody says, when are you fielding candidates?
Well, all constituencies ke tsa gore bogogi bota tlhalosa kganyego gore as the UDC re lebeletse ditsompelo tsa rona, both material and human resources, are we able to field in the 61 constituencies? I think that is what the leadership will clarify.
Yes, I want us to touch on the issue of the economic transformation. Maybe by extension the umbrella for democratic change, where we are right now, le dumela gore itshulelo ya lehatsela Botswana e ka tokadiwa ka tsela ntseng jang so that it can provide better livelihoods for Batswana. Well,
tota ke ra gore ya ka o tlhalosa right rona kana re le umbrella for democratic change, we are very clear. We are steadfast and unwavering on our promise ya gore 100,000 jobs in 12 months. Re clear. Ga re boele ko morago. We are obviously revising the figure ya living wage. Rona re dumela gore the principle ya living wage ke kganye eleng gore ga ra tshwanna gore batho ba duelwe dituelo tsa bokgoba. Ha o bereka ko Pep, o bereka ko Ackermans, o bereka ko CB stores, o bereka ko Choppies. Ha re expect gore bo duela madi a less than 3,000 as at 2019. So obviously that figure will be revised. Or dumela gore living wage. You see, people think that this economy it's a maisiwa ka tsela e leng gore batho ba duelwa ka go kgona ga economy. No, a deliberate decision has been taken gore we are going to run a low wage economy. How do you explain re Batenegi gore modirelapusi wa maemo a go godimo mo government o duelwa madi a kana ka 92,897 pula per month, mme o duelwa nkota su duelwa 2,859 pula per month. Ka UDC ga go amogelesega. Re dumela gore the Gini coefficient kana diphapang tsa dituelo tsa ba duelwang go godimo le ko tase le ba ba humileng le ba ba humanegileng, that gap is tshwanetse gore in net close.
So la UDC le dumela gore dituelo tse dintsi tse re bile mo government.
No, our belief is that, and you see it, and there is a misconception ya gore government ga ka ke own di compone, government ga ka ke ana le sabe se stona mo itshulelo. And I've said this countless times in parliament, during the 11th parliament, during the 12th parliament, as a student of political economy, as a political activist. The Southeast Asian countries, their economic development is a substantive negation of this notion. What happened when Kia was collapsing in South Korea? The government bought shares in Kia. Today, even members of parliament in Botswana but transport to Kia because it did not collapse. When the market did not favor Kia, the government stepped in. The Fortune 500 companies, 135 are Chinese companies, including 4 top Chinese banks. They are part of when we talk about big banks in the world, 4 are Chinese banks, including banks that are owned by the government. So this notion government must roll back and let the private sector control the economy. It's a fallacy.
Yes,
it's a fallacy.
Where does that notion come from? Where the the parasitical?
Well, it's a Washington consensus neoliberal notion.
What's the role of BDC then?
What the role of BDC? Well, BDC has been a monumental failure in the sense of being an investment arm of the state. Why is it that Botswana government through BDC doesn't own construction companies winning jobs in the DRC, winning jobs in Mozambique, winning jobs in Angola, or winning jobs in construction jobs in South Africa? In the response hama hatsia gonna le peace mo gone rona governance for many years. There's also the BDC. Idrisa the sovereign wealth fund. The sovereign wealth fund.
Jango Matsinga Keorapetse BDC invest in the project maybe collapse.
Exactly. That's the reason why I'm saying it's been a monumental failure. Primarily for that reason. Because you see, why is it that we don't have a sovereign wealth fund? Because Pula Fund, how Pula Fund is a sovereign wealth fund. It's a joke.
Right. Keorapetse tulaganyarna ya bukutu. Meki batakuta mekutu akakoha. 25% that the government managed to secure from our deal with DBS. You should be happy as the UDC or the opposition.
Well, why can be the happiness? Because you see the when you talk about transparency, I don't have the contract. Neither do you. No one has seen that contract except maybe the president, the minister of minerals, maybe DBS and Dapshwana. Those are the only people by law that are privy to the contract. We don't even know if that contract is signed.
You don't believe? You don't?
No. The point I'm making is that I don't have information on the specific clauses of the contract. But in terms of securing 50%, and I've said this in Parliament and in other aspects, first and foremost, and I'm glad that one of the former CEOs of DBS was quoted repeating my words. Let's start doing what the Saudis have done. Let's have a controlling stake in DBS. When you talk about intellectual property ownership of DBS and the government of Botswana controls stake in DBS, we'll be talking about Botswana owning that intellectual property. We cannot be having 15% shares in DBS when 3 or 2 out of 3 diamonds in the diamond production near DBS are Botswana diamonds.
This relationship,
it doesn't make sense to me.
Yes,
look at what the Saudis did with Saudi Aramco. When Saudi Aramco started, the Americans owned more than 90% stake.
Yes,
but as we speak now, they own 2%, but the Saudis own about 98% in Saudi Aramco, which is $1.8 trillion net worth company. So, let's own controlling stake in DBS. First and foremost, before we talk about the 50% share. For instance, the 50% share, if I may ask, the 50% the diamonds will be here. How much percentage of those diamonds will be beneficiated in Botswana? How does this
play?
You
have trust issues in terms of this deal?
Well, I'm not privy to the details of the deal. But what I'm privy to is the prevailing circumstance, the facts, that as a matter of fact, we have not been beneficiating diamonds in our country. And as a result, we've been exporting jobs. We have not been a big player in jewelry manufacturing. Mauritius, which doesn't have precious minerals, is far ahead of Botswana. So I am saying, if you are saying you want more diamonds, to what end? To just auction the same way that Okavango company, ODC, has been auctioning diamonds? Or you want to beneficiate diamonds? What is your target of beneficiating the diamonds?
Why is this relationship being, only condemned by us, within the country, while, some other leaders are bracing,
Which leaders?
Julius Malema.
To what extent do they know about the nitty-gritties of the deal? Well, on the surface, on the surface,
they're just praising the
on the surface,
without necessarily knowing the details.
On the surface, and remember, we have said we accept a deal where we can have more shares of the diamonds, provided we will get value for our diamonds. You cannot get the 50% and you are not able to get the value. If you get the 50% of the diamonds and then you are unable to negotiate a better deal in terms of the price, in terms of the price, what will be the point? If you are unable to beneficiate the diamonds, but you have gotten the 50% shares of the diamonds that are produced by Dapshwana, what will be the point? If you are not going to create more jobs through those diamonds, what will be the point?
Yes. The constitutional amendment bill. When you speak in Parliament, you sound like somebody who have so much problem with the powers that are vested upon the president of the country. What is exactly your concern? No,
that is not my only concern. It's a concern of Botswana. Let's start with the academics who have written on constitutional matters. Everybody. Are you talking about political parties? Yes. You are talking about NGOs, Bokongo, which represent hundreds of when a country economy Switzerland, President the top person in the executive. They don't even have a bigger cabinet like Yerna Leone. But they are prospering economically. When you talk about manufacturing industry, jewelry manufacturing, they have the best brands in the world. They have one of the best economies in the world. But President, the head of the executive doesn't have the power. Why should we have a president who can dissolve parliament at any time for any reason when that president is not directly elected? Why do you have a president who cannot be prosecuted when the president of the United States of America can be prosecuted, when the British Prime Minister can be prosecuted, when the South African president can be prosecuted? Much bigger countries and bigger economies, their presidents can be prosecuted. In terms of Section 41 of our Constitution, our president cannot be prosecuted. Why? Why should the president be above the law? The Constitution provides in Section 47, subsection 1, that the executive power of Botswana vests in the president and shall be exercised by him, either directly or indirectly through officers subordinate to him. Subsection 2 says, in the exercise of his executive functions, the president shall act in his own deliberate judgment and is not obliged to take any advice tendered to him by any person or any authority. What kind of a president of a democratic republic who is not obliged to take advice from parliament or from cabinet? And you want to tell me that is a democracy?
Right. Gongwe jaaka ntse re tsenya di amendments committee stage se leng gore possibly no batile gore gongwe mola mothara na o ka tokadiwa ka tsone. My last question to you, are you coming back as the member of parliament for Silibe West?
I am. I mean, but Pico have taken a decision. I've represented the constituency with honor and distinction for the past almost 10 years. I have demonstrated I remain the MP who presented more bills in the 11th and the 12th Parliament. Ke presentile ditshutiso tsa gore itsholola ya Silibe Phikwe e ka tokagadiwa jang gore batho ba bereke. Ke emetse banana, ke emetse bomme, ke emetse ba ba tshelang ka bogole, ke emetse ba bereki. The unemployed and the poor and the downtrodden.
Do you feel there is any
parliament? So now my confidence in Mohoreng Batswana bata umbrella for democratic change gore itise di phetogo mo matshelong a bone ka gore ba lapisitswe ke empty promises tsa the ruling party se leng gore ga di diragale tse leng gore go tatenya re tata re dira ditiro di heta 100,000 ka kole ya motakase ha re wa botsa ga tenya electric mobility. So I think they're tired of those things.
Have you sensed, have you sensed any onslaught or campaign? Possibly
of
from,
course, I have
possibly from the Botswana Congress Party
I first,
to make sure that you don't come back to power.
I first contested elections when I was still a teenager. I believe I was 19 years at the University of Botswana for SRC elections. And what I know is that no opponent should be taken lightly. And that the opponent was you need to work hard as I'm working hard.
Minister Duty Manake is working very hard in the constituency.
Well, BDP has not gone for primaries, so BDP has not gone for primaries. It may be Opelo Makandela, who I ran against in 2014. It may be Memanake. BCP they already have a candidate.
Did you feel threatened by Beauty Manake?
Well, threatened in what manner? I mean, any political challenge should be taken seriously, as I say. But I think the people are the best judges. They've been observing what obtains in Parliament. They've been observing flagrant abuse of office.
Your take on, as the last question, your take on the gentleman who replaced you at the Botswana Congress Party, Ruben Kaiser?
I don't know what you mean by replacing me, but the gentleman who won primaries, who won primaries. Yeah. Well, I don't know him, to be honest.
Okay.
I grew up in that party.
You don't know him?
Yes, I don't know him. But kitse bana ba le bantsi ba mo BCP ba goletse mo BCP. Ha kitse ro joine le BCP na le active ko kae. No ga ke ise ke ra gore as a matter of fact ke dumela gore le ma BCP ba le bantsi bana ba hakhamala ba utwa lina la gago, but me ra itse ke ra re ba ile gore ke ntse le ma BCP ba active ra ba itse. So ya no ke tabe ke sa recent ke tabe ke sa iri bua maru hankare ke discuss his strengths or weaknesses when I don't know him. Ha no re ke go bolelle ka thabologo furniture he has been a member of the BCP ka moitsi a no re ke bue ka any youth member kana dimpho mashaba nka go bolela sengwe ka dimpho mashaba
kana lo timanya
le banana ba BCP no ke ra banana ba ko BCP but ena ga ke moitsi so I don't want to lie
ke right Hon.Dithapelo lefoko Keorapetse leader of opposition in the National Assembly of Botswana, also a member of parliament for Silibe Phikwe West ke no na re tetse mo tsatsing la gompieno on the Batenegi parliament talk show re Keorapetse me ke tsa sebaka sa ra ke itumele gore o bonno re tetse
thank you so much thank you very much
right.
Thank you very much
like I said the leader of opposition in the National Assembly of Botswana right Hon.Dithapelo lefoko Keorapetse also remember that he's a member of parliament for Silibe Phikwe West na gona le dintsi tsene ke le tse gore nna le ene re ka di bua wanted us to also revisit the economic empowerment bill and issues surrounding it to hear his perspective but nako ke yone e leng gore ga re ya re emasente but in parliament both on YouTube and Facebook Access TV Facebook. We're doing this every Tuesday from 7 o'clock up until 8 o'clock. Bagaiso, ke video wa geng e Batenegi mshwana mhala tsekere a ne boroko.